the Wiley Vision studio in Spokane, Washington. The Stephen James Wiley Show.
Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid, a 5-cent package makes 2 quarts of Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid, 9 great flavors, the drink you love. Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid,
for the very best drink you ever made.
Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid,
Be sure that the envelope says Kool-Aid.
You can give your youngsters a lot of pleasure with Kool-Aid. You know it's pure and good. It has the Parents Magazine seal. And it's so thrifty. A 5-cent package makes 2 full quarts. Just add Kool-Aid to water with ice, add some sugar, and stir.
for the very best drink you ever made.
Be sure that the envelope says Kool-Aid.
Hello. Hope you're enjoying some ice-cold Kool-Aid today. I'm having a venti vanilla sweet cream cold brew. Hear that? Little shake of the ice there. It's been 3 weeks. I apologize for the delay. It's been for a couple of reasons. We've been just busy as hell navigating personal things with the passing of my grandpa and estate things and all that. And then I've had nothing to say about anything. And I haven't... I'm trying to rewrite Gary, my show, because I feel like I've hammered down like where it needs to go. I've restructured some things because of the sets we're going to get to use, possibly use. So I'm brainstorming all that. I haven't rewritten the first script yet. I have almost 6 scripts, although I'm really not liking episode 6. Episode 5 might be one of the finest things I've ever written. Episode 6 is kind of just turning into a huge pile of dog crap. But they all need to be rewritten because I've got a new twist to the whole story of who Gary is, etc. So I've been meddling with that, and I've just had nothing to say. Like, I want to bring some kind of value. I've been starting to listen to some audiobooks again, which I do a lot, actually. It's not like I took a break, but I've been diving in more, doing a little more of that. I don't listen to podcasts at all, ironically. And then I've just been, I just do a ton of meditation and stuff like that, which maybe I should dive into that more and share more. I meditate pretty much every night now, about a half hour to an hour. I might need to start a morning thing. I don't know why. I do all of the morning-ish type rituals at night. And I'm not sure it's actually a good thing. It's better than not doing it at all. I hit my sauna at night. I do my exercises at night. I always do a cold shower after a sauna. Actually, I just generally take cold showers. Kudos to me. Big pat on the back to me. I take full-on cold showers. Like, that's my shower. Every now and then I'll take a really hot one, but I've taken maybe 6 hot showers in this house since we moved here a year ago. The rest of them, ice cold. My friend Marianne told me that she was doing that, and I thought, my God, that's amazing. And I used to do cold tubs, like a bathtub after the sauna, but it was an eye-opener, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do that. And thank you, Marianne. You inspired me, wherever you are. So, so what? How did I get there? I do my evening rituals that are probably morning rituals, so I'm trying to figure out if I can change it up. And then all of a sudden, I throw out something goes boing in my lower back, and I'm searching for remedies, you know. I'm doing the healing dances, you know, naked in my backyard, much to my neighbor's chagrin. Well, most of them. I think some of them enjoyed it, but it's I finally, you know, did the sauna stuff, and then a heat pad. Heat pads for the muscles, friends. Middle-aged brethren and sistren. Quite a revelation. I hate to say it. I hate that it was necessary. That's never been necessary in my life. I've been very fortunate, actually, as far as bodily function goes. Bodily. Anytime you say bodily, you assume the word fluids is supposed to follow it. It makes you feel weird. Bodily. How are you feeling bodily? Yeah, so that's I'm back, though. I feel much better. So that knocked me out for like 2 weeks. Didn't knock me out. I walked around. I did things. I lived life. You know, I was still able to get jiggy with it. Just ask my wife. Hey-o! All right. So I haven't had much to say. I haven't wanted to book a guest. I do have a few guests I really want to get on here, and I'm reaching out to set those things up. I have been enjoying some television that I want to talk with my daughter Ray about. We might do it on this episode. We might not. It just depends on how the day is shaking. But I wanted to share some things I've been reading and some things I've read in the past that I've been going back and rereading because I highlight books and then I go read my highlights. It's a way to kind of like reread a book really fast and grab those things that hit you. Because you do find that you can read something, think, man, that book really altered me, and then you can't remember a damn thing about what it told you and why. So I wanted to share some of that, and I think we're going to jump to a reading. So I'm going to go, and I want to tell you some of the things I've been listening to on Audible, too, because I call that reading as well. Yeah, and what I'm going to read I may have read before, but I don't care, because you probably don't know, and you probably don't care. And what is life other than a series of redundancies? Here we are, 8 billion redundancies, walking around, feeling so unique and special, and we should. You know what? We should, and it's good, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it is kind of hilarious. So yeah, I've been reading a book, and I'm reading it very slowly, by Paramahansa Yogananda. You can never get tired of saying that name. My God, I need to give myself a name that feels that good to say. Stephen James Wiley, it's a good name. I like it. I'll stick with it. But if I ever get a yogi name, I'm going to find something like that. It's called The Yoga of Jesus. And it's about Jesus's preferred yoga poses. And I'm just kidding. It's not. Although he probably had some. I don't know. I think what we know about Jesus is pretty dang filtered. And I love the Bible. I love the Bible. I read it still. And but when you really dive into like scripture, it's short. Like, and you know, they wrap up like a month's time in 7 sentences. And we're like, and look at all the, you know, and then we dig out all kinds of good things and probably a decent amount of bullshit. But I'm going to read to you. I'm going to read to you right after this intro that is going to announce today's reading. Because why have a show if you don't have really awesome production intros? So this is today's reading. Be back in a second. We have Buddy Sterling to introduce.
Make yourselves comfortable. It's time for today's reading.
All right, this is from The Yoga of Jesus by Paramahansa Yogananda. Page 48. Jesus points out that after man's soul becomes incarnate, born of water or protoplasm, he should transcend the mortal impositions of the body by self-development, through awakening the sixth sense, intuition, and opening the spiritual eye. His illumined consciousness can enter into the kingdom of God. In this second birth, being born again, the body remains the same, but the soul's consciousness, instead of being tied to the material plane, is free to roam the boundless, eternally joyous empire of spirit. God, I love that. God intended his human children to live on earth with an awakened perception of the Spirit informing all creation, and thus to enjoy his dream drama as a cosmic entertainment. Alone among living creatures, the human body was equipped as a special creation of God, with the instruments and capacities necessary to express fully the soul's divine potentials. But through the delusion of Satan, interesting, man ignores his higher endowments and remains attached to the limited fleshly form of its mortality. As individualized souls, spirit progressively unfolds its power of knowing through the successive stages of evolution, as unconscious response in minerals, as feeling in plant life, as instinctive sentient knowledge in animals, as intellect, reason, and undeveloped introspective intuition in man, as pure intuition in the Superman. I love it. It is said that after 8 million lives traveling the successive steps of upward evolution like a prodigal son through the cycles of incarnations, at last the soul arrives in a human birth. Originally, human beings were pure sons of God. Nobody knows the divine consciousness. My phone just made a noise. What the frick? Sorry. Hold on. Nobody knows the divine consciousness enjoyed by Adam and Eve except the saints. Ever since the fall, man's misuse of his independence, he has lost the consciousness by associative equivalence of himself with the fleshly ego and its mortal desires. Not altogether uncommon are persons more like instinct-motivated animals than intellectually responsive human beings. They are so materially minded that when you talk about food or sex or money, they understand and reflexively respond, like Pavlov's famous salivating dog. But try to engage them in meaningful philosophical exchange about God or the mystery of life, and their uncomprehending reaction is as though their conversationalists were crazy. The spiritual man is trying to free himself from the materiality that is the cause of his prodigal wandering in the maze of incarnations. But the ordinary man does not want more than a betterment of his earthly existence. As instinct confines the animal within the prescribed limits, so also does reason circumscribe the human being who does not try to be a Superman by developing intuition. The person who worships reason only and is not conscious of the availability of his power of intuition, by which alone he can know himself as soul, remains little more than a rational animal, out of touch with the spiritual heritage that is his birthright. There's a lot there, and I am not even going to pretend that I can comprehend all of it, other than I resonate with it. I've reread that page and a half probably 10 times. Because, to be perfectly honest with you, that's what I want out of life. I want to get past my own materialism. I want to get past boobs and sex, even though I love them and I think it's awesome. I want to get past enjoying money, even though it's a necessity of being here. I want to get past this suit I'm wearing that as you get older starts to inflict pain upon you, as I've just described. I want to be and experience my inherent union with my Creator. That's what I want. That's what I want more than anything. And there are the Christian modalities of how that works. I think most Christians would take issue with many of the things that Mr. Yogananda is sharing in this book. And yet this book, coming from an Eastern point of view, it's the whole thing is a reflection on the New Testament, on the words and work and life of Jesus in an extraordinarily honoring way. But it does not lend itself to the whole Jesus is the only Son of God, and God is such an angry asshole that he had to kill his son to assuage his anger and general disdain for all of us. In my mind, it paints a much more beautiful picture of Jesus' life and the message he has for all of us. You might really enjoy this book, or you might hate it. But I've cried, not like I've not bawled, but I've teared up reading this book. And I've reread portions many times. And I'm 2/3 of the way through it. I've been reading this book for over a year. And not all the time, but I just pick it up, and because I'll read a few pages, and it just washes over me. And I know I've talked about this book before on my show, so forgive me if it's redundant, but that's life in a nutshell. Redundant. Some other things, I just wanted to reflect back on just share some other quotes that I've enjoyed. I've been re-browsing Ryan Holiday's book, Ego is the Enemy. And there's a quote here, the performance, and we're shifting gears. We're not talking about Jesus. This book is about people and how their egos screwed them, became their downfall. And what are the lessons we can learn there? And we all have egos. Some of the biggest egos you might see are in some of the most self-destructive people you meet. The people who've done nothing, literally nothing with their lives. Because they're, and this quote I'm going to read actually lends itself to it, and I can see it in myself in some ways. The performance artist Marina Abramovic says, if you start believing in your greatness, it is the death of your creativity. That is something. And I think when we believe, it's great to have confidence and to know you have a gift and to know you can be really great at something. But if you don't ever actually do it, you're just kind of full of shit. And I can see it in myself, and maybe you see it in yourself. Oh, I could totally do that. I'm great at that. But you don't do it. I don't. There's so many things I've said that about. And why? I didn't even have to be creative. I'd already done it in my mind. I'm great at it, and I don't even need to do that. I just know it. And maybe that's fine. Maybe that's just okay, and there's nothing to do. But I do know people who really had something to give, and they knew they had it, and then they don't do it. And I feel like there's some things still in my life that, man, I know I can do that well. I know it. And maybe I don't feel arrogant about it, and maybe that's why I'll get to keep trying, because I am continuing to work at things. But there is something about assuming, of course I'm amazing. And then if you're really amazing, you should have something to show for it. I want something to show for it because I think I'm awesome. I think you're awesome. I want you to have something to show for it. I don't know. I'm going to read more of it just for funsies. Let's see where it goes. I didn't highlight the rest of this. Just one thing keeps ego around: comfort. Pursuing great work, whether it's in sports or art or business, is often terrifying. Ego soothes that fear. It's a salve to that insecurity, replacing the rational and aware parts of your psyche with bluster and self-absorption. Ego tells us that we want what we want to hear, when we want to hear it. But it is a short-term fix with a long-term consequence. Dang, dude. I like that. Thank you, Ryan. Thanks for sharing that. And let's pull something from the always phenomenal book, The Obstacle is the Way. This book altered my direction in life, 2013-14. How you do anything, page 97. How you do anything is how you can do everything. We can always act right. Respect the craft and make something beautiful. Woo, I like that. What is defeat? Nothing but education. Nothing but the first steps to something better. That's from Wendell Phillips, page 82. And the chapter called Iterate. Failure really can be an asset if what you're trying to do is to improve, learn, or do something new. I have failed at so many things. It's amazing as I look at my life. If I could get gold stars for failure and make a few bucks, I should be really, really rich. But I'm not. It's crazy. All right, I'm going to stop there. We've read, and then I wanted to share what I'm listening to in Audible, right? So they had a 2-for-1 sale. If you haven't hit it, I think there's like 7 more days. I just downloaded Assyria by Eckhart Fromm. It is the history of the Assyrian Empire. The Wages of Destruction by Adam Tooze, which is, it's a long one, 30 hours. It is the economic history of Nazi Germany, the economic rise and fall of what took place there. Fascinating stuff, if you ask me. It's interesting, too, because my great-grandma was German, and she left Germany when she was 17 to go find her father, who'd come to the United States. Long story there, but she said that when she went back to Germany to visit family, and this was in the early 30s, she said, and this is Hitler was in power, that, or maybe his mid-30s, but that the country had never been more prosperous than she remembered, and that things were going so well for her family at the time. Obviously, there were other undertones afoot, but I don't understand or know what they did economically or why anything happened there. I know what happened with Nazi Germany, as a whole, but I couldn't tell you the economics of that government or how things worked and what they did, because they were highly productive until they just, lost the war and ran themselves ragged. And side note, do you think Hitler really killed himself, or did he disappear and live somewhere else? There's that whole story out there, and he had kids, and I don't know. I also downloaded, this is going to be great, Behold the Spirit by Alan Watts, 10 hours. Just some good Alan Watts. If you don't ever listen to Alan Watts, just go on YouTube. Just find some short clips on Alan Watts. And then I downloaded Tom Selleck's memoir. You Never Know by Tom Selleck and Ellis Henneken. So that's what I just picked up at the 2-for-1 sale. I used 2 credits. I still have another credit. I'll try to figure out what I'm... And I've been listening to a book recommended to me by Gus Sabastinas, also known as Justin. Oh, I feel a sneeze coming on. Here we go. It is called... Bless me, thank you. Improv Wisdom by Patricia Ryan Madison. You will enjoy this. It doesn't matter if you're a business person, an artist, etc. Improv Wisdom. Absolutely delightful. I really, really encourage you to check this out. I'm listening to it. You might want to read the physical book. It's wonderful. I'm also re-listening to the autobiography of a yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. Yes, that's right. Ben Kingsley reads it, man. Just, I love that guy's voice. I'm also listening to a wonderful book called This Was Hollywood, Forgotten Stars and Stories. It is so awesome. I mean, the stories, Douglas Fairbanks, Mary Pickford, these people were gods. The story of how Beverly Hills was created. It was a bean field of a farming area. It was all beans. And then these guys decided to make it this place for creative people and Douglas Fairbanks, who was like he was like the George Clooney of the day, maybe even bigger, frankly. I think Hollywood stars back then, in a lot of ways, were bigger than anything we've ever known. Chaplin, he was like a Chaplin, Charlie Chaplin. And at the same time, silent pictures. And he married Mary Pickford, who was an actress. They built this massive place in Beverly Hills, the first house. And then over a couple of years, and it took a while, then Chaplin built his place and all these people. It's just cool, man. And the stories of the things that went down and how stuff went with their careers, and it just shows you how fleeting it all is. These people were gods. They walked on air. They could do no wrong. They were beloved by the masses. People showed up. Rudolph Valentino, we have no concept. He was Justin Bieber and Brad Pitt all rolled into one, and around the world, and the stories and what happened when he died and it's just phenomenal stories. You'd love them. They're short chapters. Rin Tin Tin, story of the dog and his owner and all that. It's really fun stuff. You'll like it. I recommend it highly. It's entertaining. I'm also listening to Ryan Kurzak's book, An Essential Guide to Kriya Yoga Practice. It is dry as a bone to listen to. Ryan is not a charismatic narrator, but he's smart, and I've gleaned some really awesome insights out of it. I thoroughly appreciate his passion for Kriya Yoga. If you don't know what that is, it's just a very specific little vein of mysticism or, yogic practice from the East. Started with Lahiri Mahashai, and I've gone to this Self-Realization Fellowship down in L.A. I went to one in Phoenix just for 3-hour meditation sessions with a bunch of strangers. You don't talk to anybody. You just sit there quietly. Frickin' amazing, dude. Beautiful stuff. So I've been listening to that. You will probably not like it unless you really want to learn about some real practical meditation stuff. Also listening to a classic old book called The Power of the Mind by Edgar Cayce. It is, it's old. It's Audible, so he's reading it to you. He's not reading it. Somebody else is. The guy's dead. He's been dead for a long time. But it's interesting because he had like this Christian twist, but he was like a mystic, and he would tell, do readings for people long distance. Like they would send him a letter, and then he would read their mail to him in a letter back about their life. And he would go into these meditative states, these transcendental states, and ended up consulting, for all kinds of people. Powerful people and normal people, and but everything he writes or says is like King James sounding. There was a lady in the church I grew up in. Anytime she would prophesy, that's right, prophesy, baby. She would give a prophetic word, right? A word from God, a fresh one, not one in the Bible, but she would say it like she was reading the King James Bible. But she would say some legit stuff. She was never really, I can't remember her ever saying anything that seemed wrong or that didn't turn out to be pretty accurate. You can take what you want there. So anyhow, Edgar Cayce, it's interesting. You might not like it, but I like it because I like that kind of stuff. Chaos by Tom O'Neill. I'm slowly, that book is disturbing, dude. It's all about the CIA and the Manson murders, and it's just going to get worse, I can tell. But it's like a car crash or something awful. You can't help but want to know what comes next. So that's what I'm listening to. I just bounce around. I haven't started those 4 new ones. I'm excited about that stuff. But that's what's up with me, my friends. So, are we having a guest today? No, I'm going to do a guest in my next episode. I think I'm going to get my daughter on here. We want to talk about what we've been watching because we've been enjoying it, and it's been fun to observe the different writing styles with some of the shows we've been watching. So, there's that. Thank you for tuning in. I love you. I appreciate you. I hope this is useful stuff. Sorry it's been so long. I wish you good fortune on this fine day. And I'll talk to you soon. Peace and love.